Hello everyone, Mike Stubbsy here. Played Last Guardian yesterday, and that's a pretty big probably one of the biggest games at E3 this year. Especially one of the most lauded, I'd say. The most like it's kind of got a weird air around it now because obviously getting announced and then never appearing again. But you played it. How was it?
It was alright. It was pretty good. It was like a 35-minute hands-on demo. And it was from right at the start of the game. So like, I think the stuff that we saw in the trailer last year was definitely nowhere near where I played. Like, this was very much an introduction.
Okay.
Basically started off with the little kid like waking up in a cave, like realising he's got a ton of tattoos and being like, what the fuck? And then notices Treecko, which is like the griffiny dog bird thing. And like the Treecko is like injured and is chained up, so like the intro tutorial bit sort of that teaches you the controls and how to move around and stuff, you have to go find like these barrels in the environment and then throw them at Treecko, who will then eat them to like regain his strength. Then once you've done that, you learn like how to climb on Treecko. So if you hold R1 while next to him, like you can just climb up him like a climbing frame type thing. And then once you've sort of climbed around a bit, you have to pull some spears out of his like ass. And then once you do that, he's kind of like up and moving and shit. And then you just like walk to his neck area and take off the chain, and then he's like free to roam. And that's sort of where it started. To sort of get more interesting. And the tutorial like area sort of was done. And like Treecko sort of roams around on his own, and you can like call him, because there'll be tons of times where you like the entire gameplay is basically using him as a climbing frame to access areas that you wouldn't otherwise be able to access. And so you can call him with like pressing the circle button, but sometimes he's just like, no, I'm doing something, I'll come over in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like Red Dead where you sort of press the horse button and it's like boom, there, horse straight away.
Yeah, so Treecko has a bit more of his own like life and thoughts and
Yeah,
feelings, but
he just sort of ignores you quite a lot. Not necessarily ignores you because he always comes to you eventually, but he's just a bit stubborn at times.
I think that'll get more, like, he'll get better trained when the relationship between the kid and Treecko
Possibly.
grows.
Like, yeah. Although Treecko, like, at the end of the demo, the kid, like, escapes his cave and he's just like, right, see you later, mate.
No, so he just
then,
does one?
Yeah, but
Okay.
well, he tries to, but then Treecko's like, nah, fuck that, and, like, smashes through the wall. Because, like, the kid climbs through a small gap in the wall to get out of the cave and it's like, right, I'm done.
Okay.
And then Treecko just, like, breaks it down because he can. And he's just like, okay, and then it sort of ended. But like gameplay wise, all we did was use Treecko to get to other places. So you go out of the starting area, and there's this like big ledge. Like you can tell which ledges you can climb onto, because they look a certain way, like as with most things. But this one was like higher than you could jump, so you had to call Treecko over into a position where you could then climb on Treecko to then jump off his head onto the ledge, and then go through like this other small gap, and you find this like mirror plate thing. And you can like shine a bit of light onto surfaces, and then wherever you shine the light, Treecko like poops out electricity at it. So once we like got that, we went back to the starting area, and there was like this load of wood that was like blocking a path. So he used the light to shine on that, and he sort of destroyed it, and we carried on. It was interesting. I hope that mechanically there's more than that.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you think there's scope for more stuff from the kid and from Treecko himself.
I mean, I don't know, because I don't know what angle they're trying to take, like if it'll be combat heavy or puzzle heavy, but you would hope that they either do it, I don't know if they can do it the Portal way, where there is so much depth to that core mechanic that you don't iterate on it as such, you just introduce new ideas that you can use. Like in Portal, you don't really get introduced to the idea of momentum through portals until later in the game. You can use that from the first puzzle if you want. I don't know if there's that depth here, or if they'll have to introduce new mechanics. And so that'll be interesting to see. But if it is just using him as a climbing frame and directing his electricity, then it's going to get a bit repetitive after a while.
Again, in that case, it'll have to rely on the relationship between the two to carry it through. And
Well, yeah, like that's always going to be one of its main carrying points. But if this is sort of, this probably isn't going to be a 2-hour experience.
you fucking hope not after 10 years of
Exactly.
development.
So like this is hopefully going to be a relatively meaty thing, and if they're the only two mechanics for like 10 hours, it's going to be a little bit.
So, the other Team Ico games, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, both have this magical feeling. Everyone, they're still loved by lots of people today. Do you think Last Guardian does have the potential to live up to that billing, or will it not be able to now just because of the expectations built around it from the story?
I mean, the expectations are always going to be a weird one. Like, I kind of compare it to Duke Nukem Forever, except I think this might actually be a good game. Unlike Duke Nukem, which was just a shite. I mean, only time will tell. For me, I'm kind of not really fussed about it. Like, I'm just treating it as a new game because I never really knew the previous one.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's that bird game, and it turns out it's like nothing like a bird. But for people that sort of care about it, then I don't know. I think they will have lofty expectations. Whether it meets them, it's too early to say.
How did it look like? I don't know, art style wise. I've not been. Obviously, the Treecko is quite he's quite drawing when you see him on the screen, but I've not really been blown away by much more of how it looks. How did it look in the demo?
It's alright. Like, it was in a cave, so it doesn't show off shit that well. Like, I think the trailer from last year was like a really open area, like kind of up in the Coyote type things, and we kind of got, at the end of the demo, we got a little bit of like a glimpse of sort of future areas that you travel into, but this was all in the cave, so it wasn't representative of what most of it will be, I think.
So you played, I don't know, are you intrigued of it? Is it interesting you to?
Yeah, I've been interested to play more, but I don't think, like, I wouldn't 100% go out and buy it at this stage. I would want to know more about it, because like I said, I think my biggest concern is if the mechanics don't change, it's probably going to get very boring after a couple of hours.
Okay, and is there anything else you want to add about Last Guardian?
Not really.
Well, that's that then. Of course, follow me on Twitter at Roski, follow him on Twitter at Stubbsy. Go to GodisaGeek at GodisaGeek, Facebook.com/GodisaGeek, YouTube.com/GodisaGeek. You're watching us on YouTube now, probably. And of course, GodisaGeek.com for all future writings on Last Guardian and all the other games we played at E3. And finally, you can throw us a couple of quid on Patreon.com/GodisaGeek to help raise that fund for E3 2017. Cheers.
Should have backed the GodisaGeek Patreon.